Welcome to Charts Today, US Open. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Monday, the 12th of November, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar. The dollar surging ahead, making new 17-month highs. Has been higher this morning, but it really is pushing higher and activating that upside target 16% higher. And that means the euro is falling against the dollar like a stone, and we are seeing the euro making 17-month lows. Against the yen, the dollar is bullish on all three time frames. Sterling slipping back on Brexit fears, and we are just pushing a little bit higher now, but still looking bearish against the dollar. Against the euro, recovering a little bit, but still in the bear trend. Against the Swiss franc, we're lower. And against the Aussie dollar, we're also bearish trend. Bitcoin is up very slightly, but that's not making very much difference to the chart. Still bearish on all three time frames, really. US market was down on Friday and is just opening down again. And we're seeing here the Dow down for 0.4%. The Nasdaq is off even lower, and the futures were indicating that. Looking at Europe, we're down a third of a percent on the FTSE. We're up a third of a percent at the opening this morning. That's been reversed with the negative sentiment from the US. 250 is down 1.26%, and the DAX is down 1.25%. CAC Quarante faring much better, down only 0.4%. Asia was mixed overnight. Far East Asian markets rising. India was down just under 1%, so not all good there. Brent crude has been strong today. It was up 2% at one point, it's up 1% now. WTI much the same, and US nat gas surging ahead, up nearly 2% at $3.78, making multi-year highs. Gold is looking bearish with that stronger dollar. It's in a bear trend, so lower at the moment, nudging that 1205 level. Silver also lower, and if we look at US 10-year yields, we're sitting at about 3.19%, and that's just put us into a slightly bearish trend on the short-term chart, but we did activate this upside target above 4% on Friday. We need to actually move higher still to activate the long-term 1% target. Taking a look at the market in the Europe first of all, we see the FTSE best performers this morning have been in the commodity stocks. That's come off a little bit, but we are still seeing Rio up 2.5%, BHP up 2.4%, BP looking quite strong, up 2%. So we're just seeing the commodity stocks rising there. And if we look at the weak performers, BAT down 9.5%, really big falls there. Imperial Brands off 3% in sympathy. EasyJet off 4%. That jump in the oil price not helping as well. And so we are just seeing some still pretty big downside performances. If we look in the FTSE 250, Hunting up 4%, Premier Oil up 3.6%. But if we go to the other end of the scale, we've got some very big falls. Sports Direct down nearly 10%. Contour Global down 6%. So we are seeing stocks just making new lows and looking pretty bearish. Across the European markets, we're seeing Subsea up, the Oslo company up 4%. And quite a lot of the Norwegian companies looking strong on that oil price. Flughafen Zurich still down nearly 16%, so big falls there. SimCorp in Copenhagen down 10%. Looking to the US markets at the open, we look at straight away at the Nasdaq. We see here this data all coming from Yahoo Finance. We're seeing the S&P down 0.5%, the Nasdaq faring much worse, off 1.4%. So that's the worry for the market at the moment. Activision Blizzard was a big faller on Friday, down 12%. They're up actually today, but most stocks are falling. And if we look at the majors, Alphabet down 1.6%, Amazon down 2.5%. So they're really starting to fall back. And the big worry is Apple down 3.7%, taking them well below that 200 mark and ending this medium-term uptrend. So Apple is really now the big worry for the market. Facebook down a further 1%, down in 143. We're seeing some quite big falls now. Nvidia down a further 4%. They have really fallen of late. Netflix down 2%. And if we look at Tesla, they're down 0.7%, so faring relatively well. So the bigger performers on the day, we see Broadcom down 4.5%, and if we look at the best performers, there's not many of them, but JD.com up 1.2%, and Shire up 0.74%, but it's mostly falling. Looking at the Dow, 30. We see here Apple as the biggest faller, down nearly 4%. Goldman Sachs down 1.2%. They were looking pretty bad at the open. And we have got a few of the defensives, Verizon, Chevron, Exxon, as you would expect, all looking a bit better on that stronger oil price. Looking at the S&P 500, we've got the worst performers here, Edison Group down 22%, so really big falls here. Broadcom, and then if looking for the rises in the S&P 500, we see here Coty Inc. up 4%, but that's still a very bad looking chart, all falling in the negative territory and downturns. Michael Kors 2.5%, but that really doesn't unwind the big falls that we've seen of late. It's still in very bearish territory, so not looking great on the markets at all. Just coming back to the pricing coming in from Icon, we see on the Nasdaq 100 chart we've got no clear downside targets other than this lone target on the long-term chart of 15%. The E-mini being a little bit more liquid and trading 24/7 gives us a little bit more of a heads up, 13% downside here, but again, no clear short-term targets. The fact that we're making lower lows than Friday, that's actually a bit worrying for the Nasdaq. So keep an eye out, and the 1-minute charts will give you an idea. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.